Today we're at Belleau Wood and we're here to take a look where the US Marines and other US infantry divisions came in the offensive here against the Germans around the Belleau Wood battleground. We're going to explore, we're going to check out the cemetery. Let's go. So just to start by giving ourselves a little bit of orientation, where we are right now is kind of in the centre of the woods. Now the US Marines attacked here into the woods from the south and for the west. So they would have attacked from this direction behind me and then also from over in this direction into the centre of the woods, moving towards the north in this direction. The cemetery here at Belleau Wood is based at the north edge of the wood and we're going to go there later on. But right now we're in the centre. We're going to have a look at a couple of places here. So one of the things they have here when you come into the woods are these artillery guns. Now the Americans were actually using French artillery here, so these are French artillery guns but would have been used by Americans. These are, I believe, 75mm guns and they have these kind of dotted around the sort of central area here when you come into the centre of Belleau Wood. Now, whilst this battleground isn't as well preserved as some sections of the front lines here, there are certainly still some bits you can see. So behind me here, for example, we have a big shell hole. Just on the other side, there's what looks like the remains of some trench networks. So let's check them out and see what we can see. So, I don't know how well it shows up on the camera, but this is a fairly substantial shell hole. That's probably about, I'd say, 3 foot deep, something like that here, just in the centre of the woods. So just come into an area here where you can see, I would guess these are foxholes because they're in a line. They could be shell holes, but actually I would say these are probably, they're fairly uniformed in a line of 1, 2, 3 and then 4 over there. So I would guess these probably are foxholes, and in fact these two are connected, almost like a bit of trench network here. It could possibly be a trench that was shelled, but they look a little bit too uniform to me, so I would guess that these are shell holes here. On the 6th of June 1918, the US Marines moved into Belleau Wood, attacking from the south and from the west. Now, when they came into the wood, it was already fairly heavily fortified by the Germans. Now, where we are now, and I'm working a little bit of freestyle here, right? So people who know this area better than me, please feel free to correct me in the comments if I get it wrong. But this area here is roughly would have been the first section where the Germans would have been dug in. And so what I'm looking at here with these kind of holes, I imagine these are German defensive positions, possibly machine gun positions, because they're positioned in the area kind of looking across towards where the Americans would have been attacking from. So I imagine these are probably most likely German defensive positions that we're looking at just here. We're going to move over a little bit more kind of southwest to the areas where the Americans were attacking from now, and let's have a look and see what we can see. So in front of us here we've got a trench line that you guys can probably see. It runs down here and then through and then off there to the right hand side, and again, based on where we are, I'd imagine most likely these are German defensive trench positions looking across to the direction where the Americans would have attacked through here. So when you come into one area in the middle of the woods here, you can see this kind of large dugout area, and so you can see this is kind of all dug out around the edge here. Well, that's because this was a German artillery position that they had dug out a little bit below ground. The Americans would have been attacking through from this direction over here, and this was the German artillery position that would have been causing them some real trouble as they moved into the edge of the woods here. So during this period of the war, the Germans were pushing forwards in a huge counter-offensive in really kind of a last-ditch attempt to get towards Paris. And the Americans came in here to kind of plug the line. And as they moved in here towards Belleau Wood, it was going to be some of the most ferocious fighting the US Marines had ever seen. Now, as we've talked about Belleau Wood here, we've talked a fair bit about the Marines, and that's normal. The Marines attacked into Belleau Woods here and are famous for what they did here. But sometimes the other units that were involved here get forgotten. And in fact, the US infantry moved in here to plug the line and relieve the Marines after the fighting in early part of June. And sometimes I think they get forgotten a little bit, but it wasn't just the Marines who fought here. The US infantry were also heavily involved in Belleau Wood. So when you come round from the battlefield area of Belleau Wood, it brings you down to the cemetery, and that's where we have come in now. Behind me here you can see the graves. It's in two sections, so there's a section here, then like an open patch where you have the chapel, and then there's another whole section on the other side. So there's a lot of graves here. So the cemetery at Belleau Wood, actually called the Aisne Marne American Cemetery, has the graves of 2,289 war dead, most of whom fought in this vicinity. Now, when you come here to Belleau Wood Cemetery, there's a huge number of graves. I don't have a sort of a plan of telling lots of stories here. Maybe there's a whole separate video in that. But there is one which I thought I would tell because we have a Medal of Honor winner here in the cemetery, and so let's look at his story. So here we have the grave of Weedon E. Osborne. Weedon Edward Osborne was a dentist, and he was actually a dental officer in the Naval Dental Corps of the 6th Marine Regiment as the Marines pushed into the southern edge of the woods on the 6th of June 1918. During the hottest part of the fighting, as the Marines made that advance, Osborne went forwards trying to rescue wounded men under extreme fire, showing a huge amount of courage. He went about that task trying to carry a wounded officer back to safety. Whilst he was trying to do that, he was killed. He was 25 years old, killed on the 6th of June 1918, and for his bravery, he was awarded the Medal of Honor. Now, of course, when you come here, you have the classic cross-style gravestones that you get at the American cemeteries, but you also have this style right here with the star. This is the gravestone that distinguishes between a Jewish casualty here at the cemetery. So just above the actual cemetery area here at Belleau Wood, we have the chapel. We're going to head up there and take a look now. Okay, so we've just come up the steps above the cemetery here to the chapel, and it is really windy here. You can see the leaves flying around me, but we're going to go in and check out the chapel inside here at Belleau Wood. Now, as with a lot of the American cemeteries that we've visited on this channel, when you come into the chapel here, the walls are all covered with the names of the men who are missing, who have no known grave here at Belleau Wood. To give you an idea, all around when you come in here, all the walls right through the other side. That's an awful lot of names. So I hope you found this video interesting, exploring the battlefield and the cemetery here at Belleau Wood. Thanks for watching. I'm going to see you on the next one.